Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. There's a lot unfolding in the world. We had some things scheduled for today that actually might, despite how long ago it was set on the calendar, might just seem timely. We'll tell you about it in a second. We'll have some open line though at 1:30 onwards. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks very, very, very much for joining us today. And you might find a common thread sometimes when things unfold in our lives that we can sow seed, as it were. Well, we had a discussion, with the good pastors at the Chapel Church of God, and they have the annual sort of spring convention. So in our studio for now, Pastor Winston Rose, I think join us by phone equally, is Pastor Sean Knight, and hopefully Pastor Alison Ebanks will join us for a bit. I'll not only lead it second Pastor Winston, but leave it in a sense to you to guide, because as I look at what has happened, and I joke and jest like many, last year and the year before, 2 long centuries, we try to make light of things. We look at what was imminent and what seems to be unfolding in Europe, as it were. We see the political landscape even in our region, from countries becoming, republics, to some was not an airline once, totally oblivious to what is happening. Others are just incredibly curious. But when we think of the church, and not just things that would be on the calendar, that annual Mother's Day festivity, the particular fundraising gala to, sow not only a good ministry, but to help to support something far afield. Like anything, there are things that become habitual in a sense, but become more so. Revisiting the church for this present era, the Spring Convention. Well, welcome and share with us, Pastor. Is it, your perspective?
Yeah. Well, we live in challenging times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always important in terms of making sure the church remains relevant to the time in which we live, and being able to respond to the situations around us. And so, like everything else, sometimes we have to take a new look at how we're approaching things. I think the foundational things never change. And as we say, the gospel itself never changed, but maybe the way we seek to communicate it, we have to be able to respond to the environment in which we are living. And so, we always have to ask ourselves the question, do people see us as relevant? We know we're relevant, but it's important that people understand that and that we are able to communicate that. And so we're challenging ourselves to take a fresh look at how we're doing things and what are the needs of the community.
Okay.
And so we're looking at Pastor Alson on Sunday morning will be kind of taking a complete overview of the whole thing, revisioning the church for the present era. And then we as individuals may be looking at different aspects of that.
All right.
For instance, on Sunday night, I'll be looking at the church as a change agent, or an agent of change, and of course that's very, very relevant. And we're saying, well, how do we do that? The church has always responded to the needs of the society, and even in the times in the early church, you have to remember that the majority of the people were not as Paul said, there were not many of us who were powerful or influential. And it was made up of a lot of the slaves, the poorer people. But at the same time, God used them to really impact their society. And today we would have to say, well, what are the needs in the world? For me, one of the greatest needs is stable families. How can the church contribute to that?
Right.
And first thing the gospel does for us as individuals is to change us and to transform us and to make us into the kind of persons that God, in creating us, intended us to be.
What does it be saying? Change my heart, O Lord.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's where the problem is the heart problem. and you remember when Jesus with his disciples were discussing that, and they were all worked up about, at least the Pharisees, about diet and what you ate. And Jesus was saying, well, what you eat, you eat it and then you pass it out. So that's not where the problem is. The problem, he says, is out of your heart, out of your inner being. That's where you have all the problems of the hatred and the bad things are from within. So what you need is a change of heart, a change of your person. Right. And as you change, we believe then as a better person, you're able to have a greater impact, a good impact. Because we all impact people. Is whether that impact is good or it's bad. We all have influence.
That is so true. I mean, maybe as we change, we probably also have a changed perspective as we look at people as well. Yeah. I think our Pastor Knight is on the phone. Miss Susan is sharing. Go and join Pastor Knight. Good afternoon, sir. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. And it was interesting how we were able to have this discussion sometimes. So appreciate you almost sitting next to us as we listen to you.
Yes. I just want to add to what Pastor Rose said. I mean, I think when you think about, as you alluded to earlier, about these last 2 years being very difficult, with the lockdown and the COVID and all the things that are going on, and now we're looking potentially at another world event. But one of the things that has come to my mind is this thought of the church being unessential. And, that sort of had come up, when COVID kind of came out. And we've kind of taken that on as a church, where we've taken on that attitude that we are unessential. And we are very essential. In fact, Jesus himself said that we are salt and we're light. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you. I wouldn't want to live in a world without light. And I certainly wouldn't want to live in a world where there was no flavor on my food. So I think when you think about those two analogies that Jesus has used to describe the church, he's saying that we are essential. And just like salt and light, we're to get into the different crevices of society, and we're to make it better. And so right now the church is sort of retreating into its own little hole, or its own little cubby, and we're having church, but we're not really impacting the world. I mean, all that's going on in the world, this is nothing different than what was faced in Jesus' day. Jesus had to face similar issues, wars, rumors of wars, upheaval, all type of sickness and disease, but yet he was able to impact the world in a relatively short period of time. You remember, Jesus started his ministry when he was 30 years old, and he was dead and buried and resurrected at 33. So, he had a short term of ministry, but he impacted the world because he captured the heart of men. He was able to bring in and usher in a new kingdom. Now get this, he didn't use military force. He didn't create a coup. He didn't use any type of power to do that, other than he took over the hearts of men. And I think that's where, as a church, we have our greatest power is getting the heart of man to turn back and to be open to God again.
Well, this is crucial. And when we come back from our first break, maybe we can talk about, as we talk about the convention, but the importance of what is transpiring, and maybe, as Pastor Rose, as you shared, the relevancy, the timeliness, the impact. All right, we're going to pause and take a short break, and when we return, we invite you to stay tuned.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The chairman of the Liquor Licensing Board would like to remind liquor license holders in the bar and nightclub categories that there is to be no music and or no dance permitted on Sundays. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service will be monitoring all businesses to ensure that they are following the requirements and conditions on their licenses. Non-compliant businesses could result in prosecution or the non-renewal of licenses. For more details, please contact the Department of Commerce and Investment on 244-2287, 244-6677, or email enforcement@dci.gov.ky.
The 2022 Cayman Arts Festival is pleased to showcase their newest feature with the K Forte String Quartet featuring Sarah Newman, Harriet Henley, Joan Tamayo, and Antonio Sanchez, performing Baroque-era pieces by Handel, Bach, Corelli, Vivaldi, Telemann, and Purcell. Fall in love with the passionate quartets of the violins, a viola and cello. Thursday, February 24th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands. Tickets are US $40 for adults and $10 for students. For more information or to purchase tickets, please contact enquiries at caymanartsfestival.com or call 922-5550. The K Forte String Quartet, Thursday, February 24th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And on the phone, we have Pastor Knight, and in the studio, Pastor Rose from the Church of God Chapel at their annual spring convention taking place this coming Sunday, going through until the 2nd, Pastor Rose?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Right.
Wednesday is the last evening.
And, it is, well, as we get into the discussion, you said some things during the break, but before we went into the break, but share with us, tell us a little bit about the convention for those who are joining us. We know, there could be some adjustments in the split sites this time.
Right. Well, what is happening is on Sunday morning, we'll all gather at our own individual congregations.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Sunday night, then we're right through Wednesday evening, we'll gather at the Church of God Chapel on Walker's Road,
Mm-hmm.
near the Family Life Center. People familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the night services will begin at 7.
Mm.
Sunday morning, the service will begin at 10:30 at our individual congregations.
Okay. And I think this is where, when we look at it, and even leveraging technologies now, we can do it, but given the responsiveness as even, regulations and, I guess, laws are changed.
Mm-hmm.
But before I ask further, Pastor Knight, did you want to maybe join us? I don't want to treat you as if out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, and then also we're on Wednesday night, we're having installation of our new CAO principal at Triple C School. We hired a new CAO principal, and so that Wednesday night will be the installation of this principal, and so we certainly invite the public to come out and be a part of that. But we're excited. This is another opportunity for us to minister to our community and to share the good news of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is why, in terms of having an impact on our world, we see that education is an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
Triple C School has been the ministry of the Church of God for some 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we thank God for the vision of the people who saw the importance and the need for education.
Right.
And so the church stepped in and filled that gap, which was not being provided by anyone else, not even government.
Yeah, we are when we look back at our history and some of us today probably can't imagine that came on of not long ago.
Yeah.
Even in our lifetimes, the serious changes. As you talked about education, I think it's Roosevelt, one of the U.S. presidents, that said, you educate a man in mind, but not in morals. You educate a menace to society.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
with that in mind, as I listen to you, I'm thinking education and I'm thinking church, and I look at the Christian education
Mhm.
through the churches just on Ireland, but example even globally, some of the bigger, more well-known, well-established universities that now have history of centuries.
Mm-hmm.
It presumably, from what they have published, they were founded
By the church.
on those same
Correct.
principles.
That's right. That's
Correct.
Right.
And the problem is that, like so often with many institutions, after a while they forget what their purpose was.
So that brings me back
Right.
to the point Pastor Rose shared earlier, Pastor Knight. Relevant. How relevant is the church? Is the relevant way of going about it? Pastor, you want to read in that word relevant and relevancy and the church and all the other things that are transpiring?
Well, yeah. I think that like I said before, I think the church is not just about being relevant, but it's about being essential.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about seeing that we have to be transformative, but we also have to be willing to go into people's world.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we've done as a church is we've relegated ourselves to just really Sunday mornings, and we're focused with just Sunday morning service. Well, if you look at the early church, they did church all week long. In fact, it said they went from house to house.
Mm-hmm.
They met in synagogue, but they also went from house to house. They went into the marketplace. They went into the community.
Mm-hmm.
So church has to take on that same attitude that the early first century church had taken.
Mm-hmm.
This 21st century church we've sort of, maybe because of our success and because, we have a little bit more things and we're a little bit more comfortable, we've sort of just been comfortable in the four walls of our churches.
Right. So,
and we have to get engaged in our communities.
Yeah.
And is that then when we look at not just ministry, I hope he doesn't mind, but he has been public as a guest. He has advertised on Radio Cayman, Brother Joey Ebanks, very, very publicly, like many. I think of the blessed memory of Sister Linda and others who have publicly, shared their testimony, publicly tried to minister. I say this carefully because I think we use the word, relevant. We talked about discipline and being discipled. But is there more politics, so to speak, in the church? The need to be politically expedient, politically correct, the unwillingness to call out and to step up. I mean, is this a time now, as we revision the church, that we're looking at its relevancy, that it's not seen as that weak, almost toothless watchdog that many of the ombudsman offices over the globe were called? Pastor Rose?
Yeah. Well, so often people feel that the church should be limited to a building and people meeting there on Sunday morning, and we shouldn't have anything to say about what's going on in the society. We believe that the church should be an integral part of what's happening in the life of the community. Christians should be involved in politics. Christians should be involved in every area and every aspect of the community.
Pastor Knight?
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I mean, if you look at it, it's broken down. If you look at Jesus' ministry, all right, he broke it down into different contexts. He had the public context, the social context, the personal context, the transparent context, then he had the divine context. And what we've done as a church is we spent so much time in that public context, which is the larger crowds, right, that we're not taking time to have those social contexts, those social spaces, those personal spaces, because that's where we can have, real discussions with people. Like in a forum like this, this is a public forum, right? So we really can't have those type of discords with people where we can sort of have sort of disagreements, but we can still talk about our issues and share our truths and our values and help people see, the things from the biblical perspective.
Right. But as I listen to
the churches, go ahead.
No, sorry, no, finish your thought. Sorry, I thought you were.
No, that's what I said. I think as a church, we have to revision how we do this, because most of the people's issues are not going to be dealt with on Sunday morning pulpit time. That's not where you're going to deal with people's real deep down rooted issues.
Right. As I listened to you, I was just asking the question from the perspective of, again, what you were sharing and the notion that we're talking about the revision and the repositioning and the relevancy, as it were. Pastor Rose shared, the church needs to be more actively engaged politically. Christian politicians, Christian business people. But has the church then become co-opted? You will use the word just then, essential. The ministry and the message is essential. It's going to instruct and inform. It's going to nurture us. It's also going to take us and correct. But is the church, as it were in the early days, still in the front line? A word that is, or a phrase has been so used recently that it's insulting, to those who fought in wars, that died in trenches. Front line, really? Anyway, but with that in mind, right, that offense that we seem to have put up sometimes in our perspective, the way we speak to and so Pastor Rose, has the church been co-opted in not giving accurate messaging, in being weak, in challenging political or private sector commentary, and just being this thing that goes along, gets along?
Yeah, I think sometimes we get accused of not speaking out about relevant issues. I don't think that's exactly true.
Okay. Yeah.
And even sometimes people say we don't talk about it in our pulpits, but usually people who say that are people who don't come, so they don't hear what we're saying from our pulpits. But we have to be able to speak not just in the pulpit, but speak, in other words, who's the church? The church is the people. Because so often people see the church as the pastor, but it's the church of all the people. So if I'm a lawyer, if I'm an accountant, if I'm a construction worker, then I have to bring my values to bear on everything that I do. I speak that way. And so on the construction site, when I'm having a discussion with my fellow laborers, fellow tradesmen, then I should be able to express my views. I shouldn't have to hide my opinions as to what is right and what is wrong. I think we should be able to be public about it in the same way. Okay, for us as pastors, sometimes we have an organization called the Cayman Ministers Association, and sometimes they will, jointly we will put out a statement about something when we're having the discussions about all the issues about the domestic partnerships and all of those. Well, as churches we expressed our views, but then if we have to go beyond that, and it's not just the pastors, but for me as an individual Christian, as an individual follower of Christ, then I needed to express those views, beginning at first in my own home, in my own family. What I'm teaching and what I'm saying to my children, or what I'm saying to my siblings,
your neighbors,
and everybody else.
Right.
I should not be afraid of offending people, because I know that my views are not quote unquote politically correct.
Right. All right, gentlemen, respectfully, we have a quick break to take. Let's do that. When we come back, maybe we'll, this is where we learn if we have these discussions.
Yeah.
To our listeners, please join us after the break.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The Work Jobs Cayman payment portal has been upgraded. Now customers can upload the application when making an online payment. This new portal feature allows for easier submission of applications. Call 945-9672 or visit www.worc.ky for instructions on how to use the payment portal.
This Uncle and Cousin Baby, we come tell you a little thing what happening on Friday, February 25. Miss Viola Brown, she turning 100 on Friday. And since we can't be together to celebrate this special day, everybody is invited to celebrate in a different kind of way. Follow them balloons and drive by her home on 64 Parsons Circle off South Church Street between 3 and 6 p.m. and show your love and support.
Yes, drive by her, babe, and let Miss Viola know that she is loved as she celebrates her 100th birthday.
Happy, blessed 100th birthday, Miss Viola Brown.
the National Cultural Foundation presents Red Sky Marketplace, your chance to support Cayman's artists and artisans and buy local. This Saturday, February 26th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. inside the Hawkwill Theatre. Admission is free. Visit over a dozen booths featuring photography, paintings, sculptures, jewelry, ceramics, furniture, home and beauty accessories, and more. Check out the CNCF Facebook and Instagram pages at Cayman Culture for more information.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us. We've got a few minutes left for a discussion. We're very, very grateful to Pastor Winston Rose, Pastor Sean Knight, and now Pastor Alison Ebanks from the Church of God Chapel for sitting in and extending a public invitation for all on Sunday, not just the congregations, but for the wider community, especially at this time, to be a part of your Spring Convention. This Sunday, Pastor Rose, you shared, until Wednesday. Pastor Alison, I appreciate you, with all of the few things you have each hour to find some time.
Yeah, I'm sorry for being late. As I said when I came in, somebody actually said this to me the other day. Well, I thought all you did was preach. Even if that was the case, I don't know how she figured I would preach without preparing to preach. But I think
just talking, sir.
I mean, you just get up in the morning and go and preach.
Come on.
But yeah. I think you've identified several things at the beginning. I was listening and trying to get here. Mm-hmm. The fact that the period in which we live, this unique time, and right now the slot in time in which we breathe is quite unique. I suppose for every generation, wherever they're living is unique, but there's so many things happening now globally as well as locally that if people are able to sort of open the Bible and set it right next to the newspapers, if people use newspapers anyway, but that's an analogy.
If newspapers are even available.
Yeah. Then I think they will begin to start saying, There's a lot of uhs going on because of what's happening. And I think one of the words that was used when your discussion, Brother Pastor Sean, sort of emphasized that as well. And I'll be emphasizing that too. But that is the idea of relevance. Yeah. Because I believe our perspective on what is important in life determines what we consider to be relevant. Mm-hmm. And with our society, Cayman society, becoming so materialistically minded, we've prioritized material and commercial and personal success in that material realm above everything else. Therefore, the church that doesn't have that same emphasis is not considered as relevant. Mm-hmm. We're being seen as being useful in a very narrow slot. We want to marry people, and we want to maybe christen people, and we need to bury people.
Hatch, match, and dispatch.
Hatch, match, and dispatch. And so the real danger is not that that's the perception of those on the outside. Yeah. The danger is that becomes the perception of us on the inside. Yeah. That we feel that once we're doing these little things and meeting, as Pastor Sean said, once a week, then we have met the criteria set down by Jesus for being the sort of transformative agent that he's depending on to change our world by changing one person at a time.
Right. We've had a number of discussions, both you as guests and Pastor Alison in particular, over the years as part of what was our church and community sort of discussions. And generally speaking, being respectful to you, to our listeners, and to the time and to the subject of the Spring Convention, revisioning, that's how we say it, Pastor Rose. Mm-hmm. With that in mind, with what is happening globally, the geopolitical landscape alone, I mean, I think that the Bible is a great, if you didn't take it for its importance and only looked at it as an instrument of instruction. You want finance, you want how to strategize, if you just looked at it in that sense, man, you don't need to read any other book. Sun Tzu wouldn't be as comfortable.
It is as practical in that it's relevant in its practicality as it's relevant in other areas as well. As Pastor Rose highlighted, either the idea of the importance of families. The very core of any society, civilization, community is the integrity of the family.
Right. So if I can ask, as we sort of wind our discussion, Pastor Allison, to you again, you said if you took the Bible and juxtaposed it to the headlines, to what is happening, whether in economics or politics, it's almost as if it's reading from the same sheet. In a sense, you see it.
Yeah, because the Bible, in terms of the New Testament is a narrative that has a beginning, and there is a trajectory in it. The trajectory is outlined quite clearly, and we get to the book of Revelation, which kind of sort of subsumes a lot of those ideas together. That we're coming to. There is a culmination of things, right? But leading up to that, you have these global events of all kinds. We have the pandemics, and we have the wars and the rumors of wars, and we have the natural disasters. Right. Because from the biblical perspective, this world is a fallen world. And not just in terms of human behavior, but the entire world itself. The creation order is in futility, according to the book of Romans, simply which elucidates that fact. So we can look at the Bible and see. Now, sometimes you may jump the gun and say, okay, but this means... This is it. This is Russia is the whatever, the bear of Revelation or of Daniel, and so this is it now. And so somebody's going to write a book tomorrow and have it sold shortly, and then they'll find out that they weren't wrong, but they've already made the money in the books. Because sometimes we're so quick to think that we understand everything in that regard. But the important thing is just for us to live in this little slot of time that's ours, to be authentic Christians. That to me, that's the other important word. Not just relevant, but
genuine.
It's impossible to be relevant as a Christian or as the church unless we are authentically Christian.
So if I may ask, because I like where you, maybe this isn't for anybody else, maybe just for me, and it's one of the few times where I'll take it on board for me, and hopefully it corrects, guides, nurtures, disciplines, inspires, encourages, protects, provides. Those are the things that we pray for ourselves, right? And we want for our communities. So as we come into the convention, and as I listen to what you're sharing, and there are many of us who grew up hearing Revelation because of the church, the end-time prophecy. We see it now, we hear it so much. And that maybe was dividing governments, dividing voters, dividing political parties, dividing families, all that is happening. So if we were to come to the convention, and as we go forward, with the greatest respect to what I think I heard Pastor Allison you share, let's not within the church forget about how we looked at it outside, but what are we thinking about what's going on inside, how, the relevance within the importance. Could we get to a place where, and it should be, that the church from the pulpit through its elders, through the congregation, to say, speak the truth, be authentic, and compliment as well as we chastise, and bring all to a place where, as I had asked Pastor Rose earlier, has the church become co-opted in the messaging? Instead of being, my image is Jesus is in the temple, and my view, he didn't go in there quietly, sheepishly, saying, "Oh, boys, can I behave?" He went there with a show of force, put it that way. That's always been my image. And there was no fooling around. It's like when your dad would come home and say, "Boys, I told him to behave." You know that he wasn't kidding around. He didn't have to do anything. Is that a problem now that we become...
Well, we're just blending in, you mean?
Yeah. I didn't want to put it that way. Yeah.
At 2 minutes to 1, you've asked a big question. But many times, even the church itself has forgotten its roots. And the church has forgotten in the West right now. They've forgotten that when the Magna Carta, that particular interesting document, was put together, it recognized the independence of the church.
Yeah.
And the authority of the church in a certain realm that the government did not have authority. That has been sort of totally washed away. And because of that, because we've forgotten where we come from, we are therefore peddling in a way that gives us a bit too. We're so unsure and insecure in that, so we aren't able to stand up in every arena. We simply stand up maybe in the moral arena, but there should be a sort of a much more broad area in which we can say this is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the relevance of it is because God has said it, not because we in the church. For example, I believe the classic case of the co-opting of the church. Right now in Russia, the Russian church is quite happy to play along with Mr. Putin. Mm-hmm. He has co-opted the church to his agenda.
Mm-hmm.
It has happened before in Russia, and it's happening right now.
Allegations even within the U.S., the political parties in their affiliation, so to speak.
Right. Again, the church has got caught up in the ideology of politics instead of the ideology of the Bible and the truth. So rather than being a driver, we're simply being dragged along.
What's happening here in Cayman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is an imminent danger, but it's a real danger, and it's a present one.
Yeah.
And so we have to be aware of that.
Clear and present danger, I think we read in our synopsis sometimes. So.
Yeah.
Gents, this is why these discussions I want to revisit more and more, not only because of the correction that I get, the guidance and instruction, but maybe the relevance that we will have to our lives and the sense that we should seek humility before honor. All right? After the convention, could I extend through you, Pastor Allison, an invitation for continuing this dialogue on the state of the world and the future
state of the world?
Yeah, I mean, come on. What else do you have to do, sir?
Yeah, as the lady said, all I do is preach.
Oh, to preach. All right, I with deference to Pastor Woods, a quick closing message and a call to invitation for the convention, sir.
Yeah, well, we invite people to come and join us. We believe that we have something relevant to say. If you can't join us, of course, we are offering for them to come on to our live stream on the Church of God Chapel's Facebook and YouTube page. And so if you can't make it physically, you can be with us virtual, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, we would prefer you be there in person, but you can still benefit from what we share through getting on using your smartphone or your computer, whatever you use, to get on and listen to us.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you. I hope that not only what I've said and shared, but my spirit has been respectful to you both, when I say you both, and Pastor, as, elders, as pastors, but, as the word should instruct us. So thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's an honor. And Pastor Knight, thank you too, sir. So to the listeners, the Church of God Spring Convention starts on Sunday. We will do our best to
10:30 in the morning.
There you go. All right, we're going to pause and take a break. And when we come back, well, we ask you to rejoin us. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Cayman Islands Public Library Service advises that the Emily Teacher Redley Powery Library in West Bay will be closed for maintenance from Monday, February 28th through Friday, March 4th, reopening on Saturday, March 5th at 10 a.m. The closure will also include the Ash Wednesday holiday on Wednesday, March 2nd. In international news, Russian forces have launched a major assault on Ukraine, firing missiles on cities and military targets. The invasion by land, air, and sea began after a pre-dawn TV address where Russian President Vladimir Putin demanded that Ukraine's military lay down its arms. Initial reports of casualties included Ukrainian civilians and soldiers and Russian troops. Ukraine's leader said his country won't give up its freedom. New data from a scientific accident has suggested that life may actually flash before our eyes as we die. A team of scientists set out to measure the brain waves of an 87-year-old patient who had developed epilepsy. But during the neurological recording, he suffered a fatal heart attack, offering an unexpected recording of a dying brain. It revealed that in the 30 seconds before and after the man's brain waves followed the same patterns as dreaming or recalling memories. The husband of the late cinematographer Helena Hutchins has said it is absurd that producer Alec Baldwin is not taking responsibility for her death. Matt Hutchins told NBC's Today he felt angry seeing the actor talk publicly about his wife's death. Ms. Hutchins was killed on the set of his movie Rust in October after a prop gun Mr. Baldwin was holding discharged. He told another U.S. network, ABC, he felt sadness but not guilt and could not say who was responsible for her death. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Although very similar to their Grand Cayman counterparts, organized religion in the Sister Islands was spearheaded by the work of Baptist ministers as opposed to Presbyterian missionaries who started the churches nearly 40 years after that in Grand Cayman. In May of 1885, Reverend J.H. Sobey, minister of the Second Baptist Church of Montego Bay, visited Cayman Brac at the invitation of the Brac seamen. During his visit, Reverend Sobey held the first service in a large house, and it was so overcrowded that the following day a tent had to be erected to have the service. In 1886, Reverend Sobey returned to Cayman Brac with Secretary of the Jamaica Baptist Missionary Society, Reverend E.J. Hewitt, in order to introduce Reverend H.W. Rutty as the Brac missionary worker. Congregations started at various settlements with the construction of 2 chapels in Stake Bay and the Creek. The progress would continue, and 6 months later, Reverend Rutty was ordained as a permanent missionary, and more congregations were formed in Westin, Sport Bay on the east end of the island, and South Harbour in Little Cayman. Reverend Rutty's son and grandson would go on to become Cayman Brac's collector and Chief Justice of the Peace.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Attention Caymanian job seekers. Do you want to know what jobs are available right now in the Cayman Islands? See all available jobs listed by occupation in the Jobs Cayman job directory printed in this week's local newspapers. Pick up the newspaper to see all available jobs listed by occupation. Then go to www.work.ky. That's WORC.ky to register and apply online.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. We have a few minutes of good company with Ms. Marcia Matu, and 1:30 there'll be some open line. And even though our discussion is centered on the red sky, you might think, if you grew up in the era of like my parents, when you talk about the red, they were probably thinking of the USSR. So it's not quite that. Right, Ms. Marcia?
No. Very interesting that those two things came together right about now. But no, nothing to do with the USSR or Russia or anything like that at this moment. More to do with that lovely old saying that we used to have, red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in the morning, sailor's warning. Well, we're talking about the good stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's interesting. I love the fact that here in Cayman, and even if you go across the South Pacific, it's a small world. And in preparing sort of insight into this discussion, even though I understand red sky, I understand its origins, we're going to make sure people are invited and they're mindful.
Right.
But the seafarers of the Cayman Islands have traversed the seas, and their stories sometimes, I think they do themselves a disservice because they downplay so much that has transpired. Partly because, and maybe rightly so, they may feel that their spouses, their siblings, their offspring, the wider community may be a little bit too judgmental. But
maybe they don't want to boast about all the fun they had. But they worked hard at the same time. So, I mean, come on, they deserved whatever time they had to explore and enjoy the time away from home. But I think, very often, and you know this, Dwayne, the Cayman Islands Folk Singers are part of the Cultural Foundation. It's a project that we started in 2009 under the patronage of Honourable Makiva Bush. He was kind enough to get us started. And the group is thriving and going well even now. But whenever we've done a concert, that's been in our minds. What is it that the seafarers experienced while they were away? What did they bring home? Not just physical goods, but sometimes those experiences that they brought home.
That's it. Yeah.
Sometimes people talk to me about, when I was in Barbados at such and such a point, when I was here, there, and everywhere, we experienced such and such. So they bring some of those things home, or at least the stories home with them. Yeah. But they're always happy to be home so that they can, tell and sort of reintegrate with their society, their community.
Would you forgive me if and I want to do this because your week, your days, your months, and the last 2 centuries in particular weigh heavily on us, right? And so sometimes I think we need to be mindful of what we take on board, what is heaped upon us, and even though we may honestly believe that God will give us no more than we can bear, sometimes you have to wonder, how strong does he think I am? I'm not Charles Atlas. Actually, you're strong in word, in spirit, in flesh as well. Seeing the Cayman context, and like I tied in, I promise you, to the whole Red Sky and the cultural thing. Tell me, just like in maybe 5 sentences, the Marcia do we know? She was born where, raised where, and the last 10 years, where?
I'm a little Cayman Islands in myself. You talk about 135 different nationalities. I was actually born in Jamaica. My mother is Jamaican, but she had married a Barbadian man. So when I was about 1.5 years, we moved to Barbados. Then he decided he was going to do his further studies in New York. So we moved to New York when I was about 4 years old. Then we came back to Barbados at 8. Then to New York at 16 to do college. Then back to Jamaica because I said, come on, I was born in Jamaica, but I should have spent a little time here. And then shortly thereafter, Cayman. Right. So actually, I've been in Cayman for the majority of my life, but I still have this transatlantic, trans-Caribbean accent, which is a bit of everything that I've experienced.
And thank you for allowing me. And I think we've known each other long enough. So I know that story. And I asked it thinking that for many the Caymanian seafarers, New York was sort of where they shipped out maybe their first point of entry. Once they got it, be on the shows in Miami and whatever, and end up in New York. Sometimes even to change ships. We don't see New York probably as some of us would know. Well, why were you in New York? Why were you in one of the other ports, as it were, right? And I say that to ask, I'm going to say never ask a question that you either don't know the answer or you're not sufficiently and curious enough to want to know.
Okay.
And by you sharing that, in the Cayman context where we have, 200 different nationalities, we see the blended.
Is it 200 now?
I don't know. I think it's probably close to 2,000, but every day, if there's a new gender emerging every day, there must be a new nationality.
I guess so. I would not debate that with you at all.
And given that Red Sky, given what it could and should be, and then given you, as you just quickly shared, the Trans-Caribbean sort of...
we are the world. Remember that song from back in the day?
Yeah.
It is the case now. I mean, I think we're so globally connected. The thing about Red Sky at Night, when K-Fest started, which is Red Sky at Night is one of the pillars of K-Fest now. When K-Fest started back in 2005, 1995, pardon me.
Hey, just for the record,
I've forgotten that there was a 1900 and something.
You remember? Dave Martins and myself in the 4th floor conference room. Many initial discussion.
Yeah.
A fellow that another Trans-Pan-Caribbean.
He's one for sure. Yes, definitely.
And probably the West Bay and him too, but anyway, we're not going
to. Bit of that. So that started back then.
Right.
And over the years, K-Fest has transformed. You know, we've gone with the flow. We've tried to see what it is that the public wants and go with that shift while still not stepping back from the things that we felt were important about K-Fest. So Red Sky at Night was that combination of almost everything that had been a K-Fest element all in one, and it became that 8-hour event on the Harquail grounds where you could literally experience what used to be Cafe Cayman, the photo competition, photo exhibition, the art exhibition, the music and dance and theatre performances, the vendors and so forth. And we've done that for about 8 years. Now comes along COVID, and that presents us with a challenge. How do we deal with it? So last year we did a somewhat different version where we had, instead of 8 straight hours, we had like a 4-hour break and then another 4-hour. This year, we were down to, I think the regulations up until last week were how many outdoors? 200. So we thought, well, now how are we going to do this? We can't make this work. So we took elements of Red Sky at Night and we made some of them online, some of them remote, and some of them still are happening at the theatre premises. So this is called Red Sky at Night Marketplace. And it allows those vendors who would have been able to be there along the avenues at the Harquail to actually show off their wares online on our Facebook pages, on CNCF's social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and so on. And people can buy from them through that process, or they can just check out to see what is available on island. And then they can come on Saturday morning to the Harquail Theatre and pick those items up. Now, if you haven't seen the things online, you can still come to the Harquail Theatre on Saturday morning and enjoy the wares of 16, I think it's 17 vendors that we're going to have indoors at the Harquail. Now that the numbers have gone up in terms of gathering indoors, that gives us a little more flexibility. But we're looking forward to it. We have a lovely range of different types of artisans who are going to be there selling their wares and demonstrating the kind of work that they do. So that's one part of it. But for those people who are used to coming down to the Harquail and seeing, being part of the whole festival, there is another part which is something called the Night Flight Concert, which we're going to be televising in a couple of days. So you'll see the performing arts as well. You won't be able to sit in the theatre to watch them, but you'll be able to watch it on TV or on your device, whatever device you might have, where you can get online. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on.
Right. And this is where I appreciate sharing, because to me, the Red Sky is almost an intensive, art and cultural intensive, as it were. And to appreciate what is happening globally. Many of us for the last week and a bit, we're going to wake up to the news expecting to see what transpiring today, to have transpired. What does that mean for us, economically? What does that mean for us socially, spiritually? And the idea of the conveniences, the food security, the essentials. But here's a chance to reconnect and see that through an active, open display of love. The 200 plus nationalities that are here, or if it's 135 or whatever the number is, we come together and we see that we're more like back to the seafarer. Leaves Cayman, a small population, and immediately does two things. Demonstrates, one, I have a proficiency. This is something that is sought after. And two, I have a graciousness. I'm hospitable. And I think when they shipped out, irrespective where they're connected, they're lasting tales of these things. And it is something, I'd be mindful, like you said, maybe they didn't want to boast too much about their exploits.
I mean, I've met a few. They've boasted a couple times.
They share generously.
As they should, yes. But I think, and sharing is the point.
Yes,
it is the point of this exercise. It's always been the point of K-Fest, because for the Cultural Foundation, the reason that we exist is for people in Cayman, whether generational Caymanians or others, to all come to a realization that we have a lot to offer in Cayman. And I mean that Cayman itself has a lot to offer, even if nobody new came onto the shores, and everybody who those, is it 35 original families? How many original families do they say?
Even that probably needs to be revised. But anyway, we'll see.
Those original families, right?
Yeah.
They had a lot to offer before anybody else stepped on shore.
Mm-hmm.
In over the course of how many decades now, we are probably one of the more unique countries around the world where we have just about everything that you can imagine in this small space, and we are still able to negotiate and navigate around each other with kindness most of the time. You go anywhere else in the world, you can get frustrations. I spent some 2 hours this morning at a place which I will not name. All I can say is that every 45 minutes or so a number was called H917, and I thought, please, when is my number coming?
Okay,
You know, I'm not going to call names.
No, you don't need to point fingers either. It's right across the street, but you don't need to say nothing.
But I'm telling you that it was it was a long and arduous time. But nobody got vexed with anybody. I mean, there might have been a little mumbling, but there was no shouting, yelling, pushing, shoving.
Compared to other places of similar.
Where you would find, you know, people losing their minds over things. And sometimes they do so because they have deep problems that we don't know what they are. So it's, you know, not to make fun of them. But we are very, very fortunate to be able to share a fairly small space and most of the time get along well. And I think one of the reasons that we're able to get along is programs like yours, where people can speak up about what concerns them. There can be an open debate about things. But the other reason for me is, and I think for the Cultural Foundation, is that we get to share with each other what it is that we feel strongly about, but also what we excel in, what we do well. We see what other people do well, and we can appreciate that. So for something like Red Sky Marketplace, you know, people are going to be able to navigate through the Harquail Theatre and see people who have come from disparate parts of the world, but people who've come from Cayman in that same space demonstrating excellence, whether it's with craft, whether it's with painting, you know, whether it is with, you know, pottery and so forth. It's all going to be there. Jewelry making. There's a whole wide variety of things that people are going to experience.
And I think in that, I mean, I recall last year having the distinct privilege, you know, to be asked to assist with some of the adjudication and some of the things.
Yes.
And it's strange because I, on a personal level, don't see myself as in a public figure. I'm just flesh and bone.
You're pretty public, I have to admit.
I credit my father for that, but it's just it's just me, right? And to walk, you know, sometimes just, you know, very deliberately try not to be too much in the center, to see things. If she doesn't mind, like, you know, Miss Tiffany Conley, I was going to say young Tiffany, but that would not be appropriate.
There's a point in your life when you're glad for people to call you young again, you know.
Yeah, okay. Well, when she gets beyond 50, she might well come back.
I think that. I guess so.
So, you know, when you do likewise when you become 50.
I will. Thank you so much.
We'll call you young as well.
I appreciate that so much.
And to see the artisans, to see the things. And not just the people you know.
Right.
But
surprises along the way.
Yeah, yeah. And this is where I think, you know, that marketplace would give us a chance to appreciate through the lens and lives of so many who've come here for whatever reason, you know, and for whatever the intent initially. I'm going to stay for a bit. For us to live and love together, but to learn and to laugh. As far as I said, this is where it makes, you know, I guess, Cayman so poised to be so much better.
Well, I'm looking at my list of participants, and we had to restrict the numbers, obviously, because we still have that limit for indoor gatherings. So we couldn't have I think normally we have close to 45 vendors, 45 to 50 vendors when we're able to do it outdoors, but we had to really be first come, first serve for this. But we have folks involved like Marky Banks. No, he's a visual artist. Drawings, paintings on canvas. Are you familiar with him? Yeah, I mean, his enthusiasm, you know, and I think he's a very popular face. When we have Red Sky, he's almost always, you know, involved in some way, shape, or form. We have photography. Willowdale Photography is going to be there, Jennifer Goddard. And she's from Canada but has relocated to Cayman, and I think the beauty of the surroundings here have captured her imagination and a lot of her photography. Shilpa, Shilpa's Unique Arts, and you know Shilpa. She's there with her henna drawings on your hand and various beautiful.
Miss Henna, I heard her refer to as
Miss Henna. Why ever not? you know, trinkets, all kinds of things that you can have in your home. We have CLM Publishing. Now they do some lovely, Karen Chin, some nice books. Poetry and photography and so forth included, and sometimes with a spiritual nature to it. Crafty Art Shop. I mean, the list is a good one. So I think if you're interested in shopping a little bit, we encourage you to come out. If you're interested in just taking a look, you don't have to shop on the day, but learn about what these people have to offer, because then you can always be in touch with them at another time.
Yeah.
And it gives, we were worried that, because we see this Red Sky at Night, the usual one, as an opportunity for us to help show off some people who don't have a storefront or who do not necessarily have an online presence usually, but they're creating at home, or maybe they're just getting started, or there's a whole range, and this is an avenue for them to be able to say, oh, this is what I've been working on. What do you think?
I think what it does too for them, from what the few have shared, and significantly more important for the wider community, it reminds them that they have a talent, that they should pursue this thing, that it isn't just a hobby, it isn't just this thing. But for us as a wider community, to start to actively seek out, recognize, respect, and encourage. Hey, listen, you're good at this. You reference Mark, for instance. His drawings of, I was going to say famous people, but I leave that because it's most of politicians, they're on a canon likeness the way he sees it, right? Kervin Ebanks is an educator, but look at some of the things that he's produced, right? And for many people, the budding playwrights, Miss Pat Benton, for instance.
Oh my goodness,
the poets like Leonard, I say a poet laureate. When you have this in the past, a small community is so apt to dismiss or somehow deny or somehow just, devalue or even to one side.
They take it for granted very often.
That's the
take it for granted.
Yeah.
And, I think we try every now and then to say, okay, we understand your lives are fraught. Everybody has a lot going on in their lives. You spend in an hour and a half in traffic, sometimes you can't believe it, to get from point A to point B to get to work in the morning. You before you left home, you had all kinds of preparations you had to make. At work, it's constant. You barely have time to have lunch. You then spend time in traffic getting home. You have to, if you have children, you have to, there's a variety of things that have to happen. So people's lives are busy. And when they have some time off, sometimes they just cannot bring themselves to do anything more than that.
Yeah.
But if every now and then they can be reminded, this is happening, and this is one of the treasures of our community, that we have these opportunities, then that's what CNCF is always attempting to do, just those reminders about the things that are around us that are precious and that we can treasure and we can delight in. And that really, sometimes when our shores are, when we're cut off from others, as we have been for a couple of years now, in a lot of ways, we have the internet, so that has kept us probably sane a little bit, because we have those outlets.
Has it?
That was a very good question. A little bit of both.
Sorry.
A little bit of, no, you're absolutely right. A little bit of both. But at least there is an outlet.
It is indeed. It is.
Because I know we're a nation that likes to travel. All back from the seafares. We've always liked to go out, experience something else, and come back home.
Where's it? Gallibot?
Exactly. The Allivant about the place and all that, right?
Man.
So, we like to move around. We've had our borders kind of closed for very good reasons, but now is the time to say, oh wait, this is the kind of stuff that we have right here. We don't necessarily have to go to the mall to get some really quality things, and so we can look around right around the corner from us.
And if you go back to the seafarers, right? They saw the world on a ship, because many times there were many nationalities. They saw the world through a ship.
Sure.
It was an adventure from our perspective. This was something that was not, by any means, easy, and their safety and health many times were in peril. But we come back to the Cayman today. We don't need to travel to see the world. The world comes to us. Probably between the two of us, we probably know almost everybody in this country. We probably met almost every nationality, right? What a wonderful way to enrich our lives. So through the Red Sky Marketplace, you'll see, the artisans, and you'll get a chance to appreciate what life is really about. The love that we have, the respect, the time to share and to give. And I think back to, last year's sort of marketplace, the small purchases that I made probably made little difference to the overall economic welfare of those creators, right?
I would beg to differ because some of them come back year after year, which suggests to me.
My small purchase, right?
But everybody's little bit, you
right.
see, that's the key.
But what it did for me, with great respect, was one, it enriched my life so much because I know I have something that is unique, that is uniquely made here, that there's no material value, no economic value that you can apply to it because it's priceless. And 100 years from now, God's willing, depends on what the U.S. leader, whatever he does, in response, we may have a world still.
I hope we do.
Yeah, generations can have this thing,
But you made a good point there just now about it making a difference whether a small purchase or not, to your sort of understanding of just something other than something that you're already familiar with. A broadening of your mind, in other words, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And I find that is what I come away with, even though usually for Red Sky at Night, the other version that we hope to get back to next year, we hope everything will be well then.
Yeah, man.
I don't get to see as much because I'm running around. But, when I do sort of hold everything off and say, no, I'm taking half an hour and I'm taking a round, going around. It's kind of thrilling, I have to admit to you. It really is a wonderful experience. So this is a bit of a smaller version of it. I do feel like people are going to, come in there and think, oh, yeah, I'm so glad this is happening on this particular Saturday. So it is Saturday from 10 to 1. I didn't say that earlier.
I was going to ask you. So it is Saturday?
It is this Saturday from 10 to 1. We do encourage you to, just come and wander through and see some of the artisans who are going to be on display there. There's going to be Marcia Codner. I wonder if her name is pronounced Marcia. It's spelled the same as mine, but I feel it's pronounced Marcia.
You think so?
Call us Marcia if I'm mispronouncing your name, because every now and then people mispronounce my name and call me Marcia instead of Marcia. Do you do that? I've become used to it. I've become so used to it, I don't even notice it anymore.
I try hard to say Marcia. Not Marcia.
Now you've done a combination. That is fine. As long as you're making eye contact with me, I'm assuming you're talking to me.
So do you notice I oh, trust me.
It is so easy because, the name is used. Yeah. I'm moving on from me. Then there's...
it's all about you. Come on now.
It's not about me. Visual Arts Society is going to be there. And, they have a long history of supporting visual arts in Cayman, of course. And a lot of the artists that are sort of famous in our society right now came through the Visual Arts Society.
The early days of their even at the Holiday Inn, right?
Yeah. Two of the artists who have just won the our National Arts and Culture Award gold medal have come through the Visual Arts Society. Were members originally. Charles Long and Margaret Barwick, both of them. So they'll be there along with a number of other artisans that I'll hope to be able to tell you about. But if we're not able to go through the whole list today, make sure you go to the CNCF Facebook page for all of the information about that.
Perfect. I know. Well, so should I say Miss Marcia, Miss Marcia, or Miss Marcia? What would be the best way for people? Because from now on, we got Rebecca as Rebecca. So how do you want people to call you from now on? Marcia?
Any which way you like.
Right.
People at the office call me M&M, which is a good one because my last name is Mutu and I feel like I have an affinity for chocolate, so I'm good for that.
Oh, that's the M&M they mean?
Yeah, that's what they mean.
Just checking to make sure. No, but listen,
not the other one, not the rapper.
Not the rapper. Oh,
I don't think so.
Okay, because I didn't know that. What people can rap. I just leave that for now. But thank you very much for joining us. So this Saturday, 10 to 1 p.m.
There's no admission fee, so there's no reason not to come. And just come, enjoy yourself, make a few purchases, make some connections, and just see what we have to offer.
And you can go online too and see all the stuff beforehand and collect it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Always a pleasure to laugh with you.
Thank you so much for having me here this morning.
As I said before, we started, I really mean it. So thank you very much, all right?
It's my pleasure.
All right. Well, this Saturday, Red Sky Marketplace, and check out the social media, or even, like me, call the CNCF. Sometimes it's just the best way to find out, right?
That's right.
There you go. All right. Going to pause, take a break, give Miss Susan a smile, a chance to go get me a dark chocolate. Okay. Then join us after the break. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
As the longest established pensions plan in the Cayman Islands, the Chamber Pension Plan looks forward to delivering the same strong performance for our members, but now in a new location. As of March 1st, our new pensions operation office is located at 14 Saturn Close, Eastern Avenue, the same building as our new administrator's agent, Saxon Administration Limited. A dedicated and experienced team will be assigned to the Chamber Pension Plan. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. New location, new administrator's agent, new customer service, same strong performance.
It was Thursday, February 23rd, 1905, that Rotary was born. The vision of one man, Paul Harris. Thereafter, Rotary mushroomed beyond the Chicago club of 4 professional men from diverse backgrounds. Today, Rotary is the epitome of humanitarian service above self. Dynamic, active, effective. A global instrument in pursuit of peace. Working to resolve some of the world's most challenging problems. Indeed, Rotary helped to decide the United Nations Charter back in 1945. Rotary works to eradicate dreaded diseases. Today, we are steps away from a polio-free world. Rotary, fueling human development through varied and numerous global initiatives. Happy birthday, Rotary. 117 years of commitment to bettering humanity. From the Rotary and Rotaract families of the Cayman Islands. Rotary serves to change lives.
The 2022 Cayman Arts Festival is pleased to showcase their newest feature with the K Forte String Quartet featuring Sarah Newman, Harriet Henley, Joan Tamayo and Antonio Sanchez, performing Baroque-era pieces by Handel, Bach, Corelli, Vivaldi, Telemann and Purcell. Fall in love with the passionate quartets of the violins, a viola and cello. Thursday, February 24th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands. Tickets are US $40 for adults and $10 for students. For more information or to purchase tickets, please contact enquiries at caymanartsfestival.com or call 922-5550. The K Forte String Quartet, Thursday, February 24th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands.
Attention, Frank Sound and Northside commercial farmers. The Department of Agriculture Land Clearing Equipment Service is available if you are in need of land clearing. Applications can be collected from DOA Sales Office or downloaded from www.doa.gov.ky under agronomy/bulldozer policy. Completed applications are due by March 4th. For more information, email ciagriculture@gov.ky or call 947-3090.
The National Cultural Foundation presents Red Sky Marketplace, your chance to support Cayman's artists and artisans and buy local. This Saturday, February 26th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. inside the Hawkwill Theatre. Admission is free. Visit over a dozen booths featuring photography, paintings, sculptures, jewelry, ceramics, furniture, home and beauty accessories, and more. Check out the CNCF Facebook and Instagram pages at Cayman Culture for more information.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks very much for joining us as we invite you to be a part of our open line discussion to wrap it up for today. And a lot is happening. Some of us very much, join in prayer in a daily Bible study. Some of us very much leave that and then go meet up with our friends for additional coffee and breakfast for sort of political discussion. Sometimes through that prayer and Bible study, we will draw reference and refer to it during those other discussions, and to question sometimes why things are unfolding, why they are not more obvious to many of us, and even sometimes to question our own insights. So I'm saying that to ask of you, what is on your mind? What are burning questions and comments and statements that you want to share? Are you like some of us and say, you know what, we're just going to pray it away, wish it away, we're going to just deny it and stick our heads in the sand, whatever that thing is? Well, in the realities of what unfold, we have to always be mindful that a positive attitude can be productive. There is no denying the reality, as hard as we may wish it to be otherwise, but we can understand, appreciate, and even reluctantly accept the truth. It may not only set us free necessarily, it certainly may cause us to feel a bit quickened in the spirit, feel a bit chastised in our actions, but the truth certainly will prevail, even if it's sometimes revised by some to fit a particular narrative. Well, see that to ask as we watch the international news. Do we have a preference for particular, broadcasters or broadcasting, sources, because they either speak to us or we may have concluded that they're a little bit more objective and impartial? But how many times, are we spiritually discerning as we should be? Well, take us through your thought process. Give us a shout. The others who do such a valiant effort every day when she's away will equally and immediately agree with me that Miss Susan, when she's front and present, well, when you answer, you get that voice as she says, hello, welcome to Talk Today. So give her a shout. She's actually here today. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Couple of questions came in earlier today to me about some of the things that we've been sharing recently, and want you to maybe consider, some of these things as we share with you. But we want to hear from you to talk about anything that you wish to, as best as we can. We certainly will listen. We go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hi, good afternoon, Sterling. How you doing?
Very well, very blessed, healthy, thankful, and pray the same for you.
Yeah, calling from Cayman Brack.
Good place to be, man.
I know. I've been here 57 years.
Well, if you hadn't said that, man, I would probably say, look at this 20-something-year-old that's calling us today.
You see me, though. What I call about the other day, I heard one of my friends was on about somebody got a job here, non-Caymanian or something.
Yeah, making some references in relation to So let's speak to the issue as we can, right?
Yeah. No, but what I wanted to speak about was I think I heard what he said and I see it. I also saw it happen with the OA, that would be Department for DOE. I seen recently, nothing against the lady, but recently a post came up in the back. I was going to apply, but I say, you know what? I'm retired. I'll leave it for the younger folks. I know some younger folks here applied, and the lady that got it was one of our younger folks. So I kind of see where this guy is coming from. So I'm wondering, you know, what's happening with the young people in Cayman Brac, why they don't want to hire them.
What is it, as I listen to you, what is it that is happening across our society where it seems that increasingly we have this growing perception, a very negative one, of our young people? We also seem to think that, and it may be evident, you guide me. Well, let's start with that first one. Is there a perception, or is it reality that our young people are being ignored, they're not being hired, given opportunities?
Well, in this case, it's a reality because I know two of the young people that applied. I mean, they're very, very well capable of it. One, I think, used to work with customs, and he was on the boats and all that. And another, I think, was in the Marine unit. And no disrespect or anything, but I don't think this lady alone can handle it. Can jump out in the day, in the night time of the night, jump into this big boat and launch that and go out if you have to.
So then, and I say this because there have been a number of things just this year alone. I mean, for years now, but we're just 2 months into the year, not even. And a couple of things have been sort of increasingly drawn to my attention, and they pains my heart. I mean, to put it lightly, they weigh heavily on you. The growing sense of homelessness, and not literally where people have lost their homes, but staying with family and running from one room to the next as family can accommodate them, but literally having no place to live, right?
Yeah.
Some say, boy, if I don't pay and maintain my car, then I wouldn't have a place to live. The car becomes everything.
Yeah, true.
All right, so that's the one. But then our young, if they're not given an opportunity, if they're not showing that they're valued and cared for, that they're wanted, then what happens to them? So
yeah, exactly.
Is that something? And we are saying so much about them. And in that, then the other thing I want to ask, it would appear that as parents, right, as part of the PTAs, as teachers, as the adults, we're seeing young people and we say, but they don't seem to have that same level of drive and ambition. They don't want to get their license, like how we did. Now, is that because for them that's more carbon, being emitted into the air, and that's a bad thing? But is there something happening in our young people that they're not like their parents or like their parents' parents, that you worked, you did things, I mean, is that happening?
Yeah. I don't know how to answer that one.
Why? You're not alone.
But another thing I want to talk about, Sterling, is every November, December, Public Works and other government departments gets 4 or 5 brand new Toyota trucks or Ford trucks, whatever. And I can go across the island now and probably count out 7, 8 trucks that are not being used anymore. They just had an auction in Grand Cayman. I don't understand why they don't try and auction some of these vehicles here. There is one by Western Auto Garage that had a minor accident, I would say 3 years ago, and the truck is just sitting there, and it was a fairly new truck. So I'm sure they could auction that truck off and make some poor person buy the truck and put a few dollars to fix it, rather than you don't leave a truck in a garage 3 years and just sitting there.
Right. But even if
And
it
there is one also, while I'm on this topic,
yeah.
by the police station that Travel Time was using. She had a flat tire now about 3 weeks, and Travel Time have 2 vehicles rented. I mean, how do they get away with that? I mean, how can you justify that? A truck that Travel Time is using parked with 1 flat tire, and they have 2 vehicles rented for 3 weeks, and we have tires here on the island.
All right. Well, maybe, and I'm not a mechanic, right? I don't even play one on the radio, but maybe there's something else that's wrong with the vehicle that it's not allowed it to be safely driven at this time. Could that be it?
No, that's not it, Sterling. Trust me.
Okay.
That's
Well,
not it.
you're on the ground. You would probably have better perspective, right?
I know.
Yeah.
But they really need to look into auctioning some of these vehicles, though. Grand Cayman just had an auction now and there. At one time, actually, I took 1 or 2 vehicles here and sent the Grand Cayman to auction. But why isn't Cayman Brackers getting a chance?
Well, if they're going to auction it, maybe they could do it there. But even if they send them to Grand Cayman, if the vehicle isn't needed there and the vehicle is still good, maybe there's another government agency or some other entity.
They sent them to Grand Cayman to auction.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Huh.
How would they feel if they take their trucks down there and send them to Cayman Brack to auction them up?
Well, even if they took the vehicle from here and brought it there to be used as a priority here, but there instead. Interesting, man. How do we fix it, though?
Huh?
How do we fix it?
Maybe this call will fix it. I don't know.
Well, keep us posted, all right?
Okay, buddy.
All the best to you, man. All the best. And let's quickly take a break, and we'll come back. We'll join the other callers. Please stay tuned.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
20 years.
Remember when Crew Road had no median and Linford Pearson was only 2 lanes?
We do.
When Dirty Reeds was down the street?
We do.
We have been there for the falls, the growth, and the rise. When your body and mind needed to change, Powerhouse Gym has been here. We've skated with you. Your first date, your daughter's first time on skates, your son's first strike. From football to squash, to karate and hockey, to bowling and concerts, and everything in between.
For 20 years.
So much has changed, some for the good and some not so much. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for Cayman.
King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as Cayman's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you. For the record. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record.
Brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
The 2022 Cayman Arts Festival is pleased to showcase their newest feature with the K Forte String Quartet featuring Sarah Newman, Harriet Henley, Joan Tamayo, and Antonio Sanchez, performing Baroque era pieces by Handel, Bach, Corelli, Vivaldi, Telemann and Purcell. Fall in love with the passionate quartets of the violins, a viola and cello. Thursday, February 24th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands. Tickets are US $40 for adults and $10 for students. For more information or to purchase tickets, please contact enquiries at caymanartsfestival.com or call 922-5550. The K Forte String Quartet, Thursday, February 24th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And when I say us, me and the good lady Susan behind the boards. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Afternoon. How are you?
Pretty good. I was told yesterday, the person say, I heard you talking to your boyfriend, your chocolate man.
So people really putting up my stock value? Good for me, boy. Bad for you, but good for me.
Yeah, really bad for me.
Hey. Aye. But I always appreciate when you call.
Yeah. Sterling, I heard that we might be having some cruise ships coming soon. I'm not sure what date they come in. But, I was driving through the waterfront this morning, and I was out there by the local craft market. What a sore eye. Sterling, what a sore eye. And you should see the bottles. They look like beer bottles thrown on by the dozens. Unbelievable. And go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask of you, and I appreciate you sharing. There was a press briefing today that has been cancelled, and I'll go back to look to see exactly what was said, but reference being that there'll be an update, probably through a press release or something, and I think even maybe tomorrow. All right, so we'll see what's happening. Now, the Honorable Tourism Minister did say at the last briefing that there'll be some announcement coming next weekend to go ahead, and if you have staff that you had hired, to bring them back and to get new ones and to like give preference to Caymanians. But let me ask though, just generally speaking, given what those in that sector seem to be a much, I guess because it affects them, or much more intimately aware of, do you think that the country, the Cayman Islands, are we now ready to reopen, to welcome cruise tourism? Have we put in place all the things, especially relative to what we hear other competing Caribbean destinations have done and are doing?
Well, I haven't heard of anything put in place. And when it comes to the beautification, we sure don't have it.
Okay.
So I don't know what they could put in place overnight for cruise ships to be coming here in March. I have nothing against the cruise ship They got to come back one day, and what all the precautions got to be, and what the beautifications got to be, and how many ships per day, and what port, what pier will they be running from, and so forth. Because let me tell you something, the North Terminal is a river when it rains, from the top to the bottom when it rains down there. So I hope all the dreams are not all about North Terminal, because that place needs to be rebuilt completely. But anyhow, Sterling, that gentleman you had on there a few minutes ago talking about government vehicles and so forth, let me tell you something. Up there at the Environmental Health Sound Road, they got a fleet of trucks. I think it was last year, I took my cousin up there. And I went there again this afternoon for my cousin. And those trucks, they have never been moved from. They've been put there, and they're all licensed and all brand new trucks. I know the government needs the vehicles and so forth, but I don't understand why they're so overloaded with vehicles, and why they're making their staff drive the vehicles home, unless only if they're on a call. I think they should be driving those vehicles. And furthermore, they have these signs on various government vehicles saying that no riders. And when you look in the truck, their wives are in there, their children in there, and I want to know if all that changed. But I can stick a pin there, Sterling. I want to talk about the licensing department.
Okay.
Sterling, we got up Crew Road, we got West Bay, and we got Breakers, okay? Now, the only department that out of those three that have the camera to do the driver's license is Crew Road. Sterling, we got more traffic on the road than Cayman can hold, and I don't care how many more lanes we get. It's going to be a bottleneck somewhere in this island. And I want to know, why is it that we don't have better equipment at the license department? We got three of them. You go to West Bay, you cannot get an inspection. You can pay for your driver's license, but you got to come back to town to pick up the driver's license. You can go to Breakers and get inspected. You can pay for your driver's license, but you got to go back to town to pick up your driver's license. Now, George, the town one now is closed on Wednesdays. The pit is closed on Wednesdays. And I didn't even notice until yesterday, if it's raining and you go to that pit, anyone in the pits, your car will not be examined. You know what I mean? I didn't even know that. And Sterling, our biggest problem here in Cayman, and I think that's pure lack of communication. Just pure lack of communication in various places throughout this island. Because when I went there to Breakers yesterday, the rain came down while I was parked there, so I didn't drive in no water. You understand? And I'm not going to tell you how long I was sitting there for, but I was there for a while waiting for the place to open and so forth and so forth. But anyhow, I got good service at Breakers. Don't get me wrong, they was not busy. But what I'm trying, and then I had to go now to the main office here to pick up my driver's license. And Sterling, there was so many people there looking for a renewal of their driver's license or getting new ones, and a lot of young kids out there probably getting their license to drive on our roads. So that is more vehicles on the road. So Sterling, what I'm trying to say is, with the money that this license department is pulling in, you won't tell me we can't have better service from these departments when it comes to having everything in place. So you don't have to run all over to get what you want done. You can't just go to one place and have everything done. You can if you go to Crew Road, but on Wednesdays there'll be no inspection. How long that is for now, I don't know. You understand? Mm-hmm. But Sterling, we just keep going backwards instead of coming forward. We got these tons of investors building up this island left, right, and center, but yet when it comes to the work of the companies on this island, like the license department, the police department, immigration, and so forth, restaurants, and so forth and so forth, we are so backwards. We are backwards. And another thing, Sterling, the license plates that they got up there now, why is it that when they get so dirty, it looks like mildew, that you cannot get it off, and if you try to rub on it, then the red come off of the number. Mm-hmm. You understand? And we still have cars on the road with old license plates on there. They're even painting them now and bringing them up to park that you can recognize the plate, because then it is so dull. How come we got this system and we can't get all these old plates off of the road? What is the problem?
That's an interesting question, and if you allow us respectfully to just take the news, maybe let that question linger for a moment. Talk to you again very soon, Mom. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Department of Environmental Health advises the public that Waitrose is recalling Waitrose and Partners green pesto with basil due to potential presence of salmonella, which may lead to illness if consumed. The announcement was made by the UK Food Standards Agency. In international news, sickle cell patients have begun receiving the first new treatment for the blood disorder in over 20 years. The inherited condition can cause severe pain and organ failure, often requiring hospital admissions. The treatment is given as a monthly infusion and is thought to cut visits to A&E by 40%. Oil prices have surged past $100 a barrel to hit their highest level for more than 7 years after Russia launched an invasion of Ukraine. Global shares fell and the price of gold rose as investors worried about the possible impact of the conflict. Russia is the second biggest exporter of crude oil and is also the world's largest natural gas exporter. Antique props used in the filming of the Netflix TV series The Crown have been stolen in South Yorkshire. The items worth up to $150,000 were taken from 3 vehicles. Among the props taken in the theft was a replica of a rare Fabergé egg, which was acquired by the Queen's grandfather George V in 1933. The 5th series of the multi-award-winning show is currently being filmed and is due to air later this year. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. It's open line 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flo 1-800-534-8255. You can call us and share your thoughts. Of course, you can always WhatsApp 925-3261 and we'll read that for you. Of course, if there's a voice note, well, we'll listen to it and share it with our listeners if that's the intent. You know, from time to time we get things sent to us and sometimes they come multiple times and you realize, oh, maybe it's something like that. Maybe that's just something that, you know, is worth repeating. Well, here's something that I've only seen a few times and I haven't seen it this well. And you know, a good friend, a professional lady, had posted this. And let me read it for you and see what you think. Something that was shared. It says, we expect women to work like they don't have children and raise children as if they don't work. And then when you think about it, you know, those working parents, working mothers in particular, you know, when they come into the offices or on the workforce, they're always, you know, expected to be there constantly, doing everything. And then whenever there's an issue relative to the home life, well, for some reason we think of the mothers. Now, I would share that men and mothers would quickly say they're so thankful for the fathers in their lives, their partners. And as I read that, are we somehow, you know, measuring people by impossible standards? Are we taking and looking at things in such a way that we don't understand the importance of teamwork? Like it or not, you know, many times if you watch the professional athlete, as you recall, the young child not feeling well, it's mommy that is called. Hi, mom, and the like. Well, to the working mothers in particular, and the women in general who serve, you know, many roles. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. Doing? How you doing?
Very blessed. Very thankful, man. How about you?
Boy, can't complain at all.
No, man, we can't. We
still
should.
Still here, giving God thanks for my life.
Yeah, man.
So what I call about today is the issue in the BRAC with inspectors from plant. It seems like, you know, that the BRAC has been forgotten now for years. You would say on inspectors, they get one today and they get rid of them, and then they don't get any more for years or months or whatever else on it. And you know, it in turn costs the contractor money, because he got paid workers for them sitting down doing nothing, because he got to wait for someone to come from Grand Cayman once a week or once a month or whatever the case may be. I think it's high time that the BRAC get their own inspectors, man. Even if it's not more than one multi-inspector that can do, you say, all of the disciplines. This has been going on for years now. Not just since the pandemic. This was going on for years. And even worse, now that the pandemic went on, the BRAC has been booming. And you get the homeowners paying more because the contractor got to charge them more because their workers are sitting down doing nothing. For what? For what? Even in Grand Cayman, they're lacking inspectors. Why they can't keep them, I have no clue.
So what is the challenge then? I mean, as I listen to what you're sharing, looking at a comment here that came through referencing, I'll put it this way, government efficiencies and looking for value for money.
I wouldn't want to say what the challenges are because everybody and his brother out there know the challenge, and I will just scratch my neck out on the limb to say even the deputy governor knows the challenges that's going on. He was supposed to contact me some weeks ago, but I guess he was busy, so he hasn't actually lived up to that one. But it is ridiculous. I mean, right here in Grand Cayman, you have 2 electrical inspectors on the road to cover the entire island, which has, probably 30,000 or 40,000 projects going on one time. And for inspections on electrical, you got to wait 2-3 weeks, sometime even a month in Grand Cayman. So imagine what it is on the BRAC. I know a friend of mine that built a house in the BRAC, was supposed to get inspection for a final on his house in September. I spoke with him today. He just got it here in February. I mean, that's uncalled for. That's ridiculous.
I guess sometimes too, as I listen to you, maybe people, or I say he who feels it knows it, right? So as a country, sometimes we're willing to maybe overlook things. We don't see the priority, the importance of it. Or is it too that we believe everybody knows, or maybe everybody knows, but everybody's waiting for somebody to do something?
Everybody knows, Sterling. I can tell you on that one. Because I used to work with planning. I'm afraid to say it. Everybody know me.
Right.
And that's been, I've left planning over 12 years ago. And I was at planning for 10 years and 2 days, if you want to be exact. And from I went to planning, the Cayman BRAC never had an inspector at that point. This is 22 years afterwards, and still not got another one that they can call their own. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm hoping that as we'll deploy resources and make allocation, that we're doing it as a priority. And we'll see how it goes, right? What else would you share with us?
I share with you, the good Lord never sleeps nor slumbers.
Yeah, you say God doesn't like ugly, all right?
He made it, but I don't like it.
Loves it all the same, though. All right.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, man.
All righty.
Blessings to you. All right. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Yeah, hello?
Hello.
Hey, afternoon, man. How you doing?
Good afternoon. How you doing there?
Very, very well, man. How about you?
Yeah, it's okay. I heard the gentleman talking about, he said it must be very difficult in the BRAC about the plant. That sense, yeah. I mean, the second that by saying that Cayman BRAC need a full-time planning inspector, building inspector to be stationed here. We used to have that several times. They would, a resident building inspector on the BRAC, and they keep changing it up, and when people need, I know when my house was to be inspected after being under construction for 12 years, finally got finished. I had a delay even getting it inspected because the inspector had to wait to come up from Grand Cayman, and it's like what they say about the dentist, that we don't have enough work in Cayman BRAC to warrant a full-time dentist. Sure, we have plenty of work in Cayman BRAC for a full-time dentist and a full-time planning inspector. So whoever's in charge of that department, get some action and get a full-time planning inspector for Cayman BRAC. and let the problems, discrepancies, and all that be ended where people have to sit and wait so long, days and weeks, for a planning inspector to come over from Grand Cayman. And he already got his burdens down there with all the construction there. We need an independent one here stationed in Cayman Brac. We had it before, so let's get it again. And the same goes for a permanent resident. Dennis is here, but he's been traveling to Grand Cayman 2 days out of the week, and they're always telling me it's not enough work for a full-time dentist in the Brac. And then when he's away in Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac is trying to get an appointment or an emergency arise with a bad tooth or a severe toothache, and then you have to wait till the dentist come back on 2 days after he spends in Grand Cayman. So that is two fields that I'm asking for immediate action to be taken: a full-time planning inspector,
dentist,
the dentist to spend full-time in the Brac instead of having what a hectic thing getting on the flight and going Grand Cayman 2 days out of the week every week. I mean, that's hectic on the person itself. Then you got to come back and deal with your duties here. So that's what it used to be, and it's still that way. So that's for attention to be given in that field.
Yes, sir.
Okay, changing the subject to that announcement I made about that massive oil rig platform, $1 billion platform, is due to pass out to the south of Grand Cayman. And the captain of that is a friend of mine via communications. He's a young Ukrainian. He's about 32 years old, and he's in command of the ship. So I see he got the course plotted to come about 10 miles south of Grand Cayman on Friday morning, because he knows of me, and he's going to bring the rig on the ship by Grand Cayman, because he did so for the late Captain Harrison Myrie. He brought his ship and circled off the Brac Reef Hotel to pay respects and a tribute to Captain Harrison Myrie when Captain Harrison Myrie passed away. So the same captain from the Ukraine is on this giant transport ship with the giant oil rig, and he's coming by Grand Cayman on Friday morning. So that is a Shell oil drilling platform. That's the one I talked about last week. Anything else you want to talk about? I have a little time now.
Yeah, we're just at the break, and I'm always intrigued by you sharing. But just quickly, so it's 10 miles off. What's the best place to see it?
Off of South Sound area.
So West Point? Okay.
Yeah, South West Point. That looks like the path it will be taken about 10 miles off. But due to weather conditions and things, if weather gets currents and things, that's the projected path, but it could be further away.
Right. Well,
have you heard about the ship that is on fire, burning for over 1 week now? Yesterday morning was around between 4,000 and 5,000 brand new sports cars. Matt Fahal, one of the YouTube great guys on YouTube, has a Porsche on board. She must be bought up by now, valuing around $230,000 US dollars. That was coming from England and Germany, loaded with Audis, Porsches, Bentleys, and Volkswagens. And they said they believe on lithium-ion battery in one of the cars ignited and caused the fire. That is what they're suspecting, that the ship has been placing inside and no oxygen. The fire and the smoke is white because of no oxygen to make the smoke black and the flames come out. And this ship, I talked with it 3 months ago, passing Grand Cayman, loaded with about 5,000 cars. So it's out there in the Atlantic burning for 1 week yesterday morning. They got off the 22 crew, and then it's still there burning. Firefighting tugs are around, but they can't get the water to go inside because it's a totally enclosed car carrying roll-on and roll-off ship. So that's going to be one of the biggest losses of motor vehicles ever in history on the sea. Those luxury cars burning up.
Well, Mr. Raymond, thank you for sharing that. And I think many now can probably, if they didn't know, they can go and find out more. If they did, they can watch it. Respectfully, sir, thank you. Let's just pause, take this final break. When we come back, more Talk Today.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments until February 17th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited, whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Government's new recruitment portal offers job seekers a paperless online process that makes it easy to apply for more than one job anywhere, anytime. With this step forward in our online recruitment presence, you can keep track of outstanding applications and appointments and receive notifications about your applications. Visit the careers.gov.ky portal and use the new one-stop shop for civil service recruitments to further your career.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. Another Thursday. For some, they still remember the Tuesday. Life goes on, no matter what transpires. Hey, 949-8037, toll free with the compliments of Flo, 1-800-534-8255. And as if the Raymond was just sharing, how much of what is happening globally are we aware of? Is it because we're so consumed with just trying to survive? Is it that whenever we turn on the news, that itself is consumed by the same old scene? And how much of it is of interest to us? And now I would imagine that how do you put it? The situation in the Ukraine, if we're not overly insensitive and disrespectful, we should realize that there are people here on Grand Cayman, not just in the Cayman Islands, who would probably, be very, very, very much, affected by this, given the nationalities here, the business interests, the travel, and the like. And not just the economic implications, but people's safety and security. Now, as we listen to some of the history's sort of lessons, as we look to maybe our own personal experiences, the question that is perhaps not being asked and not being openly promoted nor pursued is where we're going to be in the absence of love. And can love, in fact, bring us together? Now, that may sound weird, strange, and even naive, and I'll accept that there are those who say so, would castigate and condemn even its utterance. But the question is it not what is missing? You know, Third World talks about in this one of its songs, the world needs a lot more love, and love needs a lot more love in the world today. It's that thing that should unify and bring us together. And if you go back to just the U.S. and its shaping of the global, sort of economic impact, its global political, its military, its social, sort of impact, from the food to the fashion. Now, a few years ago, not that long, and even years and decades prior, there were many of its dignitaries, its academics, sharing that maybe we need to look at greater sense of unification for those who were around during the Cuban Missile Crisis, for instance. And not that this is a carbon copy or a repeat of that, but it's certainly history is replete with many examples. If you think to just the Cayman Islands, we have people here who were alive, and they could probably tell you what they felt, how they were fearful. There were people from Cayman who were part of the U.S. military establishment, as it were. And then what about the surrounding Caribbean countries and territories, islands, and the like? Now, fast forward to some of the comments from, again, just using the U.S.'s diplomatic sort of core. Were there utterances? Have they been recorded in history that would suggest that if we're not careful, this could be, something repeated down the road? Were there anything being shared specifically about Russia and the Ukraine and Europe, not just Eastern Europe, but Europe in general? And again, if we're pointing fingers and assessing blame, are we prepared now to move forward with a sense of accountability and responsibility so that there isn't a repeat? And is it that for some, it's just to prove a point? Now, in the Cayman context, are we prepared to draw closer to each other? Some of us would, without hesitation, quickly recall, being taught that you share and share alike. You gave away what you had in love, knowing that that person would benefit from it. You didn't do it foolishly, knowing in the same breath that you would not have that thing. But been the last of the cassava, the last bit of something that was probably a luxury to many households. Some cheese, even some flour, little things that weren't as available and accessible as they have been since. But if anything, the last year or two has indicated is that even in our wealth and opulence, there is a great sense that things can be fleeting, and we are vulnerable, and we're at the mercy of each other. No man, they say, is an island. Well, as we think of all of these, are we doing two things? Prayerfully and with purpose, petitioning so that we can see a semblance of a populace coming together. And are we consciously, deliberately, positively taking action to show love to each other? I've witnessed just a few instances recently where I thought, quite unfortunate, and I wonder the consequence. And even though I was prepared in one instance to intervene, the person said, no, you've got to learn to step back. So I thought, well, is this what others are doing? One instance, a person needed some assistance with the car. And he said, just watch. This has been now for 30 minutes, and no one has stopped to render assistance. And I thought, but why don't we go? He said, no, you got to, sometimes you got to wait. Give it another 5 minutes. Let's see what happens. Then another 5 minutes. It took, by this fellow's, from the time he noticed it to his time, he said, took 57 minutes, right? And I forgot how many seconds he said, before someone stopped to offer assistance. Now, I would say to you that I spent a lot of time talking to him, saying, well, why don't we go and do this? He said, no, we need to see, who else is there. There's no thing. And that left me thinking, well, just like he was thinking the same thing, conducting his own experiment. Maybe others are doing so, well, you know what, someone else will come along. It's not really a big deal. It's no fire. There's no emergency. They'll be okay. Someone else will help. But he said he did that because he's been consciously watching for the last year and a bit how easy many of us are willing to turn an eye, and how much more often we're actually being told through public messaging that, be mindful when you're approaching people. They want to steal and hurt you. You might go and help them and get sick and die, and all sorts of things. He said, but in anything that you do, you should be sensible about it and be as safe and take as much precaution as you can. He gave us an example, a very long time ago. He offered to help someone, and immediately the person said, boy, I think I'm coming down with a cold, right? And this old chest cold, and, went on, and, the person stood a distance, and so did he. They thought, can common sense prevail, or is that so uncommon these days? He did not, and I want to emphasize so that I don't mistake, suggest that people be foolish and, throw the baby with the bathwater, to give and do things to your own peril and detriment. You obviously, if you take for granted the actions of firefighters, for instance, go into burning buildings, they're putting them and themselves at risk. Now you may say, well, they're well trained, but they too can succumb. They can be injured in ways that affect their quality of their lives as well. But they do that. Well, take the educator from the classroom every day, talking and instructing. That stress and pressure, that frustration, that level of anxiety for the future generation. Well, who's helping them? The question is, how much are we doing to help each other and to help ourselves, but not at the expense of one another? Well, if at any point in time what I say does not accord with your own sentiments, offends, inflames, or otherwise, makes you upset, please share with me, especially if it's inaccurate, because then we can have a discussion. But if you find inspiration, if it encourages and nurtures you, if it finds that it quickens your spirit and offers a sense of instruction, well, hey, hopefully it's of benefit. Thank you again for this continued opportunity to be of value and service, and I hope that together we draw alongside. Thanks to Miss Susan Bai. Sometimes, she doesn't take the tamarind switch too much, even though she probably wants to. But, in militant in her endeavors ever, I think is always a sense of love. So please, stay tuned, listen to the wonderful music she'll play. And I won't request anything in particular because I know everything will be just wonderful music. Until tomorrow, my friends, I want you to have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed afternoon. Stay in prayer, stay in a positive frame of mind, and be positively productive in all we do. And as we look at being here in this country, even believing that what is happening now around the globe, and in particular the potential, should we say, war or unrest or whatever word we want to use, may not affect us. It actually is and can if we're not mindful. So be inclined to be better. And then tomorrow, if the schedule continues as planned, the former MP for Northside, Mr. Ezra Miller, will come on, give us a lesson and instruction and governance and leadership and the like. Always learn from him. Always appreciative that he's willing to share, as he says, from what little he knows, with a view that it makes it better. Well, let's go about it today. Let's go about it together, and let's look forward to maybe breaking bread once again. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
District to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman, one radio, many